G'day everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host SmilePie, and today we're playing Railway Empire 2. So we're up to episode 13 now of this season, of this of this series. I tried to say season and series at the same time and came out with what I came out with. So let's start off by looking at our task list. So you'll recall that we're getting close to achieving our three cities with 120,000 because New York is starting to grow its population. Um, and we'll also be, I guess I'm aiming to get to 75,000 in the Mid Atlantic this episode because we're just starting to get some growth in Philadelphia. So that will boost that. And then depending on how that goes, we'll be aiming to get down into Virginia, and then lastly we'll do the 8 loads of salt. But so that's a brief summary of our task list. Now, between this episode and episode 12, I did a little bit of tinkering with one of our connections. I did have a comment about somebody mentioned that they don't like when other content creators do that. So I apologize for that. I did this before your comment came in. So anyway, what I did, we had a connection which came down here previously on the west side of this river, and it used to curve around towards the east. And so essentially what I've done is I've created a new bridge up here, and I've done a two-way connection here. So we've got that connection there. So it's quite a challenging thing, but it's also quite a scenic creation which we've ended up with. So we've got a bridge which is good when you ride along with the train, and then there's also a couple of little small tunnels. So anyway, panning around, that's one update that I did. And the other update that I did, and I did this, I created a freight bypass to bypass the New York freight station. So there's a few tracks going there. I did that because I didn't want to take up time on an episode per se, creating a bypass, which is something that I've done in one of the previous episodes. So I thought I'd do that just to save a bit of content time. But let me know in the comments if you think I made the right choice by doing that offline, or if you prefer to have me do those types of tasks online. You know, have your say, and I'll provide what the audience likes. But looking at New York, you can see that New York has got a bit of growth. Actually, let's have a look at our quarterly balance while this is popping up. Um, so just by looking at the changes between this quarter and our previous quarter, you can see that we're well up in all areas actually. So we're making quite a bit of rev. Our staff costs are up, but that's because we've got more stuff. So, and the rest of that is it's all good and well. So let's click that away. And I was going to start talking about New York, which we did in terms of our supply. We've got many goods covered. We still need sugar and we still need fruit. So let's start having a look at these stations. I suspect that our and first up, let's look at our farm. So it's a level 2 farm. It's at full capacity. So let's increase the level of this farm. So that's good, and we can do such things because we're just swimming in cash. Let's build a maintenance depot as well. So as you get a bit more cash, it's always good to put more maintenance depots on your rural businesses, because that way your trains will spend less time hogging maintenance, doing maintenance activities in your main cities, and that enables more faster train turnaround time within your cities, and that's what you need. in order to deliver more goods into those cities. So that's especially true when your cities are quite large. So looking at our sugar station, we've only got sugar going to Boston, and so previously that used to be enough to have the F2 freights carry our sugar around between these cities, but it's not going to cut it anymore. So let's run some more trains out of here, and let's send a couple to New York freight directly. You can see how they follow our F2 or our freight network. So that's well, let's call it a work of art, shall we? Let's be modest and call it a work of art. So, but obviously I'm exaggerating, but it is it is a bit of a nice creation, isn't it? So let's keep going on. So we've got new sugar going to New York City, so we'll make that a Derwent. We'll have that as a freight. We want to have max load. What else? We'll have two trains. That's done. We don't need any special wagons. And bada bing, bada boom, we're on our way to New York City. And what other train did we have? New York, Boston. Let's do a couple to Albany just to keep it up. So I am jumping around a bit, so I apologise for anyone who finds that you know not to their satisfaction or preferred level of stability. Uh, I'm doing my best, and that's all you can really ask for, isn't it? Or is it? I don't know. So Derwent, we got two. We want it to be freight. Let's make it full. Yes, 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 and bada bing, and we're done. So that's the. Let's actually, while we're here, the other thing we need to do with these stations is they are in desperate need of more platforms, because if we're going to have so many trains coming out of there, let's just they need more space to wait. So six trains with four platforms, I think that'll be enough. We'll get away with that. And do we need? We don't need anything else. Let's cut off these DAGs. So we've got four platforms there. Those trains will fill up. Um, the sugar farm will supply enough. It's getting 6.4 a week. So let's see how that goes. There is a way that we can work it all out to work out the exact if we've got enough trains versus all the demands of each city, but I'm not going to walk us through that at this point in time. What I want to do is I want to keep upgrading our. So we've got our fruit farm on level 3, but let's keep upgrading our stations and trains running from those stations, because that's what's going to get our that is what is going to get our growth up in Philadelphia and New York. So let's do these extra platforms and tracks. So that's good. Let's do the remove these DAGs. So boom, boom. That's nice. And now we did have we got one to Albany, one to Boston. I think we can run more. So let's do one more of each. And then we also want to blackmail. Piss off. How about that? Oh shit! I pressed the wrong button and I paid some weasel. Always pay a bit more attention. I meant to tell that guy to just, F right off. We don't deal with those sorts of, criminals. But anyway, that's what happens when you're trying to talk to the audience about trains and you click something away and you do it wrong. that's no one to blame but myself. So yeah, life lesson: take responsibility for your actions and own up. So that's on me, team. What more can you do? Yeah, so yeah, as I was saying, we want two more trains uh, going to New York. So they're express trains, or not express trains. What am I talking about? Freight trains. So that's good. So click confirm on that, and that will have two freight trains running to New York. Now, on the previous episode, we set the New York warehouse to pick up fruit and veggies and milk and so on. So we've upgraded that. We've upgraded the sugar. Now let's have a look at the milk. Um, we're cranking out milk here because we're on level 3, which is good. So let's increase the size of this station as well. So this sort of housekeeping is good to do as yeah, as you grow in the game. I'm just doing it a bit of a bit of an indiscriminate way rather than a precise and exact way. But you know, we'll all benefit either way. So let's put a maintenance depot on there. So that's good. We'll check out our trains. So we've only got 1 and 1, so we're doing hardly anything. Um, so up. Let's increase freight trains to Albany because we've got our our cheese factory there, and then we'll also increase to 2 trains to Boston, and then we will also create a new train to New York itself. Um, so let's go that one to New York Freight, and we'll make 2 trains of that. So we want full of milk. We want, let's call it F1 milk to New York, and we'll take off the freight. And we want it to be freight, and we're not having any special carts. And we better choose a train, otherwise, what are we doing? And that's 2 trains, so that's good. So that's good. Now, did we increase the capacity of these factories? We have not done that yet. So we will need to increase the cheese factory. Let's make it a level 3 cheese factory. So um, I will do that, but I also want to touch on the level of demand. So we've got 121,000 citizens, and let's look at the demand for cheese. They're asking for 1.2 cheeses per week, and we're generating 3.2. So our other 2 cities, New York and Boston, will also be asking for similar amounts. So if we go to Boston, their population's 144, and notice I've just paused the game while I'm talking about this explanation. If we go to their demand, they're asking for 1.4, and New York will be asking for at 111. They're asking for 1.1. Um, yeah, so that will, I guess you can see there's a rough correlation between the 1.1 demand and their you know 100 say when they're in the 110s, I dare say this will be at 1.1. When it's in the 120s, it'll be the demand will be 1.2, and when they're in the 140s, that demand was 1.4. So I dare say there's a rough correlation there. Yeah, we'll see how that stacks up in the in the scheme of things. But all up, it'll be the demand that they're asking for is going to exceed our level of production capability. So we're still going to be short of cheese. But for the time being, let's just produce that much. We'll keep. going with our factory improvements. So the furniture factory also needs to get upgraded to level 3. So that's going to be another 1.66 mil. So that'll pick up. Yeah, I guess the demand for factory is the same as the demand for cheese. So we won't have quite enough furniture or cheese being made. We can also see our level of beer that we've got is not quite enough, but we've also don't have enough wheat coming in. So let's just while we're here, let's have a look at where we're getting our wheat from. So um, is this farm taking wheat to Albany? And we're sending one there, so that's not enough, obviously. And then where else? I think this wheat farm is only sending to Syracuse, I'm pretty sure. But let's double check. And it's wheat to Syracuse, so that's not enough. So let's increase the number of wheat trains going to Albany from this place. So wheat to Albany, let's increase that to let's make it 4. And we've got wheat going down to New York, which is quite a fair load as well. Um, so this one, how many platforms do we have? We've only got 2. So let's increase the number of platforms on our wheat business as well. So build you up. I might do it. I'll do it to 6 actually. So we're going to need a bit more length because um, the more platforms you have in your gridiron, the longer it needs to be. So let's do that. You want to be a difficult pain in the ass. Look at this. Why does it do that? I don't know. I'd have to. Oh, what's this one? Near Montreal. Do we want it? Probably not. It is. No, I'm not going to take it. It's too far out of our way. So let's ignore that. Big picture, we're increasing in New York City. We're not increasing in Albany, but we're on 111. We're at 66%. So let's keep that going. But getting back to our connection here, it's not going to let us do that. So let's. How far down the line do we need to go? Let's put in. This is a neat little trick as well. So let's put in a supply tower, and let's delete our track all the way back. You can go, and that can go. Now we will. Now we can run this all the way to here. Oh, what? Minor annoyances making Smile Pie's life difficult. I wanted to avoid the need for that, but I have to have it. And okay, that'll do. That'll do. Let's just run that out like that, and we'll run that. Hopefully it doesn't need to go that far, but yeah, all this effort just to make a gridiron with six platforms. Oh, look at that! That is bloody bullcrap. I can't do a gridiron if that is like that. What a unexpected pain in the ass. So let's start again. Um, turn the topography on. So we just need to avoid high ground. And these menial tasks, it's not exactly how I wanted to spend our time, but well, I mean, yeah, this is an example of a menial task. This, and it's not how I wanted to spend time on this video, but we're doing it anyway. So there we go. That looks good. Let's have a bit of a trim off the end here, and we will run that back to there like that, and that'll do. You know, that will bloody do. So set the direction of travel so we're going the right way. That looks all right. And now let's run some game time. Our wheat trains should pick up, so we should get more beer being produced in Albany now because we're increasing the wheat supply. So we've been short on wheat, so that's been holding back Albany's growth. It's also been holding back Albany's wheat production or beer production. Sorry. So and we're also short on timber. So that's they're all good observations. Now another. So let's have a look at New York. Um, so we've got heaps of wheat, heaps of corn, heaps of all these products. We've got a bit of beer. We need more. No more's coming yet, but I think we just address that in Albany. That's going to solve that problem, hopefully. We've got all these other goods that are supplied, which is good. And then some of these, finished goods or factory goods need to come in as well. But going down the line to Philadelphia, which is another important area where we need to grow, we've got fulfillment of demand at 71%. So we got a bit of wheat. We got corn incoming, which is good. We need more wheat. We got beer. We don't have sugar yet, so we need that incoming. And once these other goods come in as well, or once we grow enough to receive these goods, that will be good for us as well. So we want that to grow. We also need to spend some of our innovation points. So let's have a look what we've got. So we've got the two specialty carriages, which I'll skip past for now. Before we talked about underworld contacts and intimidation. So I'll skip past those for now, and we'll look at covered cabs. So that will increase transport rev by 5% for mailbags. So we'll spend it on that. But also, you could imagine old mate and knackers sort of coming up with this innovation. They'd be driving the train along, driving the fastest machine in the world, living their best life, and knackers could turn to old mate and say, you know what? I've had this idea last week while it was raining, and I thought, this thing. Why don't we have a roof on this thing? And then old mate would say, Knackers, you are a bloody genius. You are an absolute legend, mate. So I'm sure that's how it would have been. But anyway, let's keep going. Um, one of the problems I was expecting to face, but we haven't really faced it yet, is I was expecting us to need to put in more platforms at Albany for freight, but also have a bypass in Albany. Um, but we're not really experiencing that level of congestion just yet. So we'll keep an eye on that, and we'll you know Oh, we've got the refrigeration car for auction. So let's bid on that. We'll take that. So that's 517. So that's nice. So we've got the refrigeration car as an option now. Um, Philadelphia's double-digit growth. You turn your back for 1 second and look what it's doing. So why are you booming? Because you have corn. We're running short on wheat there, and the sugar still isn't coming. Um, that's almost at 120, so that's good. We haven't grown these factories either, so let's do that. Let's the weaving mill. Just before we do that, how much? We got plenty, so let's do the weaving mill up to. Let's make it up to level 3, and we're going to need to update the fashion industry as well. So let's let's look at that. Let's make you a level 3 as well. So that will do, and we'll revisit the. So there's plenty of wool being produced, but let's have a look at the number of trains there. So wood to New York City. Let's just up that to let's make that 4 trains, and wool we will make to probably let's not be stingy and let's make it free. And while we're here, we'll also I noticed it doesn't have a maintenance depot, so we'll do that, and we'll grow, or not grow, but we'll increase our station to 4 platforms, so that way we can have more. Whoop, look at that! Stop it. That will do. Trim off our dags, and we're we're doing good there. So, sugar in New York. How is our sugar situation in New York? We've got 12 incoming, so that means a lot of that will get passed on down the line to Philadelphia. So that's exactly what we want. Um, oh, we're going to tick over. It's going to meet one of our tasks. This optional task, I can feel it. Let's watch as we tick over. Hopefully, there's no anticlimax on this one. 185 off. Come on. There we go. Task complete. Bada bing. Bada boom. We're still a bit off in Virginia, though, and we're still a bit off in the mid Atlantic, so we need to get that going. So, what are we doing in Philly? Debate about slavery, an explosive question. Um, it doesn't really have to be, but anyway, let's 1834. So there's still you know still a bit of time until history fulfills. So, but what are we doing? We need to get the goods up in DC. So wheat, corn, beer, um, and in terms of our freight station, uh, we've only got an F2 train going to Washington. So if I was to put a warehouse into Philadelphia, and I was to put beer there, some of that beer could be then transferred down um, to Washington. So what else can we transfer? Let's transfer some sugar as well, and that'll do for the time being, because all of that stuff we're running from we can pick up from New York and it can get held down here. But so let's get interrupted. I will just sort of view through this quickly. So freight, we're up by 500,000 in freight, so that's pretty good. Passengers, no change. Mail, just a slight bit of increase there. Production's up. We didn't get any bonuses, so that's mainly our differences in freight. So I guess that's because we've added more trains, more freight trains, perhaps. We're carrying, we've increased our factories, so we're carrying more goods. Um, anyway, let's not dwell on that. So what I was going to talk about is the warehouse here in Philadelphia. I've set it to store grain and corn and beer, but it's not going to store grain and corn unless I run a train directly carrying from a supply, like from a producer. So um, now the other thing I was thinking about just before is I'm thinking maybe some we may not have enough capacity, like we may not be producing enough wheat to fulfill all of the trains that we've got planned to run from here. So I'll either need to update that to level 4, which that's easy to do. So let's just do that. Or we could start utilizing some of these other grain farms to run to Albany, which I think we should be doing. So that's something to consider. The other thing I need to confess, and this was a pure oversight on my part, is we built the pottery ceramic factory down in Syracuse, and because I hardly ever use it, I thought it would just be clay, but we actually need coal to make that thing work as well. So we've got to connect this coal to our network and be able to send coal trains down to Syracuse. So that's something that we may as well do that now, because it's got to get done. Let's just do it. It's a bit of a stuff up on my part. That's a little bit funny, but it's in the scheme of things. It's not hard to do. So let's run you to there. Let's run you. I don't want to. Let's have a. Yeah, let's build that, because it was kind of being a little bit funny to me. Come on, mate. There we go. And let's run you around the bend. All the way back out here. Yeah, it's a bit overkill having 2 tracks, but what, what does it matter? That's the right way. We need a supply tower. So let's have one out here. That's all right. And let's run that to Syracuse Freight. And let's make it a Derwent, make it 2 trains, make it a freight. Let's make you full, and let's rename it as F1 coal, and just tidy a little bit of stuff up, and boom, 2 coal trains, and we're laughing. So we're going to produce ceramics here, and those ceramics, I can't even talk, will get transported to Albany via the F2 network. So how good. So we've got this is chockers. So what's our problem? Our problem is production capacity. So um, that'll sort itself out. These are breakdowns. New York is continuing to grow. Philadelphia is continuing to grow, so not fast enough for my liking. And DC, we need to get some of those goods in there. So uh, corn. So one solution that I was leading to is we can have a freight train, run between New York and DC. So let's do that. Two Derwents, make it an F2, and we'll just trim the name down so we're not hogging as much space. That's good. Whether we put a refrigeration car on there or not, let's not worry about it. And we'll see what it loads up. It it is running empty back to New York, so it'll load up some goods in New York for us. So we'll see how we go. Actually, let's just keep that on, and we'll follow that when it gets there, if it gets there. So just looking at these trains, we're not having, like, I was concerned that we would have problems with congestion with our corn and wheat trains going through the Syracuse station and using the freight mainline network, and then also getting clogged up in Albany, but it hasn't really materialized. It hasn't eventuated. So I had thought to do bypasses, but we don't need to do that yet. There's a bit of congestion going on here, which we could address by changing this main line onto dedicated tracks. So it would quad up this section of track. So I think we probably need to do that because that's looking a bit untidy, and we'll also need to put I want to put I want to do the bypass at Albany anyway, because it's going to be messy, and it is messy. So we've got more congestion down here in New York, sort of, not really. Thought we had. So just looking at oh, our wheat and wood and wool trains coming out of here. It's not too bad. But our F2 train is coming up, which is good. So let's ride along with the F2. Slow as shit. But let's have a look from side to side. So it's quite a scenic view. Here's our favourite two geniuses, bloody old mate and knackers. Good on yous, boys. Driving an engine. Old mate's looking happy. Knackers is happy because he's covered in coal, and we're just waiting to get in. So we're not gonna bloody sit around and watch that. But they're moving. Well, they were moving. One moved in. So what do we got? The Philadelphia to New York freight moved in, and what are they going to pick up? So we got congestion problems here. So we will need to do something about the congestion through here. So that's flowing now, but we're getting congestion problems on on that line as well. So maybe put a supply tower here because it's backing up from that supply tower. We can look at quadding the line through certain connections. Yeah, there's definitely treatments that are available to us. Um, so Philadelphia to New York, it's taking grain and so on. And now we wanted to find New York to Washington though. So where have you disappeared to? So that would be Washington DC to New York. Okay. What have you got? 2 corns and a beer. So all that distance just so you can help us get 2 of these and one of those which they've already got. So thanks AI. You're doing your best, I know. And sugar, no sign of sugar. So anyway, let's have a. They've got sugar. I don't know why they didn't send it. Just a pain in the ass. So zooming out, we do have a lot of congestion issues that we do need to fix. Looking at our fulfillment, we've still got to grow Philadelphia a bit, but we're getting there. Um, how are you? 26,000. So yeah, Washington's not growing. So these things will grow. We just need more wheat, more corn coming in. We can connect Big Lick next time. Charlottesville needs all the basic goods as well. So yeah, but they're all future problems. So if you've made it this far, I'd like to thank you for sticking around. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Please remember to like and subscribe as that helps the channel grow and it's gives me something to entertain Mrs. Smile Pie with. And comment, let me know how you your thoughts on what we're doing. And yeah, so thank you. And remember, with small bites, any pie can be eaten. Thank you.